Science always has a way of bringing up beautiful innovations, and today we're talking about another innovation from a Ghanaian. Charles Antipem Ofori is the innovator and co-founder of Dext Technology. I'll tell you what he's done and what he keeps doing for students today. Charles, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Very good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, and I trust you're doing well today.
Yes.
Great. Before we begin our conversation, as we do every Wednesday here on The Horizon, we bring you our science news for today.
The Ministry of Education is to introduce coding in the basic school curriculum to promote software and website development. Communications Minister Esther Owusu-Ekufo says it will also bridge the technology gap between Ghana and the developed world. Google has outdoored an updated virtual assistant that can make calls to restaurants, hair salons, and other businesses to check hours and make reservations, holding conversations on a user's behalf. Demonstrations of the feature, which is not yet completed, left onlookers feeling uneasy about the human likeness in the assistant's robotic voice. A team of medical experts at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital have successfully completed a landmark surgery by rejoining a completely severed wrist of a patient. The surgery lasted about 7 hours and saw the repair of about 25 structures in the wrist, including vessels, tendons, and nerves.
I guess the last part there tells us something very interesting, that there is a lot of innovation and science at play in this country if we pay close attention to it. So my guest this morning, Charles Antipem Ofori, the innovator and co-founder for Dext Technology, has joined us today. Thank you for joining us, Charles.
Thank you again for
having me. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Everything great. Okay, so who are you?
Okay, Charles Antipem, that's my name, and from Insuatre in the Brong-Ahafo region. Yes, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Dext Technology, and we manufacture the science set.
Tell me about your beginning from your very young years to what you've become today.
Yes. So I started school at the 31st Women's Movement Primary in Swatra.
In Swatra?
Yes.
In Swatra,
it's about 12 kilometers away from Sunyani.
Okay.
Yes.
In the Brong-Ahafo region.
In the Brong-Ahafo region.
Okay.
And went on to Bible Baptist Preparatory School, and then to St. James Seminary, also in the Brong-Ahafo region.
Seminary?
Yes.
So you're what? A man of God?
No, it's a seminary and senior high school, so
okay.
It's kind of like a mix. And moved from there to KNUST, where I was briefly. Yes.
Okay, to KNUST.
Yes.
So how did you become the co-founder of this company?
The idea basically popped up at a point to create something called the Science Set. So I talked to my friends about it, and then they were happy to join. So we started the company about a year and a half ago, and we're here today.
Okay, so you are an innovator and quite a young one at that. Can you tell us how old you are?
26.
26. Okay, so what you've just walked us through your educational journey, but as someone who spent some time at KNUST, what do you say about reports that our premier engineering institution is doing art courses and the engineers aren't producing anything?
Yeah, that's an unfortunate statement. It is true to some extent, though, but I think that's probably mainly due to the fact that there's not enough support for the brilliant people who are doing amazing things, in KNUST. Because there are a lot of people who are doing really interesting stuff, but then there's, I guess, a lack of direct support for some of these brilliant people to help them bring their innovations out and things like that. I think that's probably why people don't see that things are happening in KNUST, but I think there's some good stuff happening.
Okay, so that's fine. But before you got to KNUST, what did you learn in primary, junior high, and senior high?
So primary, just like everybody else, normal course, but the senior high school I did science.
Why? Why science?
I've been a lover of finding solutions to problems since I was like a toddler, right? And my passion for wanting to solve problems, I guess, led me to explore science because I feel like science helps us to solve problems and investigate them, find solutions to them, try to implement those solutions. So yeah, that's why I chose to do science.
Okay. And would you say your training at K University set you on this path? And if not, what did?
It contributed, but I don't think it did. What set me on this path, like I said, is that I have this innate desire. I feel like I need to contribute something. I feel like after going to school and getting all these degrees and all the support from people, I need to contribute something. I need to solve society's problems. So I've wanted to do that since I was young, right? So that's what led me onto this path to try and create this company, manufacture this product to help society.
Okay.
So I guess KNUST supported somehow, because in the early days, the lab where we did some of the research that led to the science was given to us by KNUST. So I guess they contributed, but not necessarily put me on the path.
Okay. So tell us about the sciences. Now, and I've seen the box, very interesting things in there.
Yeah.
Tell us about the science set and the inspiration behind it.
Yes, thank you. So we all know about the lack of practical science at our basic school levels, right? For long it's been talked about. It's chew purpose and forget. There's no practical science, and this is largely due to the lack of facilities and then the lack of funds to procure equipment for these schools, right? So we decided to find a solution to that, and we asked a very daring question: that what if we didn't need to put up the lab structures at all? What if we could put like 40 individual components in a container that was small enough to fit in a bag and as affordable as a textbook, so that any student could have one, and then the teacher could walk to class and say, oh hey, so today we're going to study light, so bring out your science set, let us study light. Okay, take this component, take that component.
Okay, but where did this innovation come from? Did it come out of an experience or a problem you went through?
Absolutely.
And in deciding to change the skills. And what
Absolutely.
was that?
Yes, when I was in primary school, right? I always wanted to think out stuff. When we learned something on the blackboard, I was looking for ways by which I could experiment these things, I could experience these things. When we learn about electricity and things like that, I wanted to experience it, but then there was obviously no material for us to be able to do our own experiments and then learn about some of these things physically with our hands. So I felt as time went on with our advancement in technology and stuff, I felt it was time to find a lasting solution that is easy to implement and could help every student.
Okay, because you mentioned three things. Small enough to fit in a box.
Yes.
And as affordable as a textbook.
Yes.
How did you do that? How did you make that possible?
So it took us about 6 months, but we managed to actually fit 42 components in the set. It made it even smaller than we thought. We used things like 3D printers to do our prototyping, print some of our parts, and basically redesign most of the components so that it's possible to make them miniature versions, and change some of the manufacturing processes so that it's possible to manufacture them at scale and at a good price, so that the whole product can be affordable.
So what? You're running a factory now to produce these sets?
Yes. So we have our sort of assembly line in Kumasi, and we employ about 9 people, and we manufacture the science sets for schools in Ghana and across the world.
How many do you produce a month?
So currently we do about 1,000 science sets.
1,000?
Yes.
And how much is one?
A science set goes for about 80 Ghana cedis.
80 cedis?
Yes, only.
And you do 1,000 a month?
Yeah.
Oh, you're rich.
Not yet.
So have you applied for the One Factory program with the science sets?
We have our documents ready. We are yet to put in our application, but we hope to do that soon.
Okay, so for this 1,000 that you produce every single month, who's your target audience? Who comes to pick it up?
So since we started, we did our first test in the school in Accra called High Class. And it was just a test. We just had one science set. We sent it to the school, and then the next day they called us and said, could we bring them 40 science sets, right? And at that time, we didn't even know how we were going to make it, right? So from there up until this time, we've made close to 3,500 science sets, and students across the country and outside the country have access to it.
Outside the country?
Yes, but mainly basic school. So from class 2 all the way to JHS3, students can perform activities using materials from the science set.
Okay, but do you think 80 cities is affordable for the average student?
So at 80 Ghana cities, in most of the places where the science center is used, it's not necessarily one student to one.
Mhm.
It's sometimes about 4 students to a science set. What this means is that if it will cost about $2.50 to give every student in Ghana access to a science set within the span of 3 years, because multiple students are going to use it. So if you actually, it's not just like one student, you need to spend 80 Ghana cedis on one student, but it costs about $2.50 only to give access to a student to a science set.
Okay, you say $2.50 only. I'm thinking about those in the very rural settings where you don't have the luxury even of a blackboard, let alone a science set.
That's true.
Is there any means by which you do area-specific pricing?
Yes. So for most of these places, we try to work with organizations, okay, that have an interest in science and developing science education. We these organizations donate, we subsidize the set, and sometimes they even donate to the extent where the science set is free. We donate it free of charge. We have such a thing with MT that we are working on currently to try and then give science set to about 2,000 students across the country, and mainly organizations like this support those schools who cannot afford it. But then private schools also, some of them can buy, right? So they pay for it. And sometimes you use some of these funds to go back to subsidize the science for less privileged people.
I see. Do you now see yourself more of an innovator than a businessman, or both?
A bit of both, I would say. But yes, I started out as an innovator, but then it's paramount that to be able to make sure we can create access with such a thing, you need to understand business. You need to be able to know how to sell the product, how to propose it, how to build a business around it. So I guess I've turned into a business.
You're turning your stripes in small. Okay, nice. So are you working with the Ghana Education Service to get these sets into every school?
We are making effort. It's been difficult, but we're definitely making effort.
What's the challenge?
I'm not so sure because we've advanced proposals. They've known about the science set since last year when we started. We've had the head of science education in Ghana recommending it to the director general. We've had lots of things happening, but then nothing has materialized yet. I'm not sure why, but then we've been pressing, but then something is yet to materialize.
Okay, so just so I'm clear and I can get what you mean, many who bought this are using it for their own personal studies.
Yes.
It's not been incorporated into curriculum.
So for the private schools that we work with, so like a school like KNUST Basic School in Kumasi, for instance, it's a requirement for every student in primary school to have a science set so that they can come to class, and just like they have a math set, have a science set that they can use to perform practical science activities. But then for the government school, it is only from the head office that some of these things can be made like accessible to students.
Okay. So in the science set, what's in there?
So we have over 45 individual components that students use to perform science experiments. So we have electronic components so that they can use to study electricity, learn how electricity works, how to turn it on, how to turn it off. They can study light, the properties of light and things like that. They can study magnets, popularly called steam, but they have resistors, transistors, capacitors, switches, diodes, bulbs. All of these things are inside the science set.
Okay. And where do you source the materials for creating the set?
About 80% of the materials are locally sourced, but we definitely have to import some of the things. So some of the electronic components themselves, the discrete components, before we process them, we need to order the raw components from outside the country.
Okay, interesting. Ooh, nice, interesting. So at the last budget reading, an initiative was launched which fits well into what you're doing. I believe this was the BSTEM project, Basic Science, Tech, Engineering and Math. I understand this project was recently launched. Are you involved in this? And are the science sets being used as part of the program to get young students excited about science?
Unfortunately not. At least not yet, I guess. Like I said, we've been making efforts to try and then get the government to buy into the idea. And we are still pushing. We are still making effort to try and make that happen, but we are not part of the project yet. We hope that we will be a part of it.
Okay. So if you're watching on our Facebook page, that's our star 1035 FM, the elements in the sign set are being shown to you right now on our camera, so you can see what exactly is in this sign set as we have just spoken about. If you're joining us now, you're listening to Morning Star. This is the Horizon, our special science, tech, engineering, math segment here on Morning Star. Today we're talking about the portable science lab for students, or what we've called the Dext Science Set, that's been created by Charles Antipem Ofori, a graduate of the KNUST.
Not yet. I did not finish.
You didn't finish. You started and had to stop. Why? What happened?
Well, a number of factors, but largely the pursuit of my pursuit of technology and my pursuit of wanting to create something valuable was, I guess, conflicting to a large extent
With your regular academic schedule.
Exactly. So
Do you intend going back to finish?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. At this point, let's bring you our science fun facts, and then we'll continue our conversation with Charles, because I think that for what he's doing here, he is setting out a very new paradigm that can help in practically helping us learn science in a much better way.
Okay, so we can show the things to them individually.
Okay.
Since it's made
The
of
Dext
so we can just lift it up for them.
1924 by Professor Gadi and his assistant Shintara is effective in the higher frequency ranges and has been most important for radar, television, and amateur radio. Most homes in Africa still have this antenna.
We also have connecting wires we can use to perform activities.
So that's our science fun fact for today. As I mentioned earlier, my guest today on the Horizon is Charles Antipem Ofori, the innovator and co-founder of Dext Technology. They've put together the portable science lab, which has been christened the Dext Science Set. Okay, so Charles, for what we have been discussing so far, you've helped us appreciate what this is and how it's important for all of us. But do you feel the recommendation from the Ghana Education Service is enough to keep you going?
Just a recommendation will only get us as far. So currently, most of our customers are private schools, and for most of these private schools, they understand it. We don't even need to show them any recommendation. They know the use of such a product, and they need such things, right? But the government schools, you show them your recommendation, and then they're going to tell you that our grants are not enough for us, right? So we would not be able to afford these things, right? So unless, just like we receive books from the government, we receive things like this from the government, it's going to be difficult for us to pay for them.
And also, I mean, I get that. So considering that government has been talking big about boosting science tech in engineering and maths, if you're to meet the president today with this project in hand and your science in hand, what would you tell him?
I will tell him that.
Say it as it is.
Yes, I will tell him this is a gold mine, because here's something that can enable him support local entrepreneurship because you're producing locally, and at the same time enable him to a very large extent increase the interest of students in science, right? It's at an affordable cost, which means the cost of implementation will be very low. So this is like an all-in-one beautiful package that I think answers quite a number of questions, and to a large extent, because the science set is so simple and because it is designed to fit very well into our curriculum. We work with the Ghana Association of Science Teachers, we work with GES itself while developing the set. So it fits beautifully into the curriculum. There's very little training needed for teachers to adapt and begin using the science set. So it's a great product that has been tested, right? Thousands of students across the country are using it, and then they're doing amazing stuff with it. So it's a win-win situation for everybody involved, and that is what I would tell him.
Okay, I'm done with national recognition. Quick break. When we come back, I will talk about what this is doing for your international beyond borders exploits. Stay close. You're listening to Morning Star Live on Star 103.5, and we are in good company this morning. We're speaking to the CEO and co-founder for a company that is doing so much in the area of making science as practical as possible, Dext Technology. We're back after these messages.
Alright, for how many minutes? How many minutes? I want him to show the...
About roughly 3 minutes.
Okay, good.
You know how to help your husband maintain his
Oh, sorry, this one they are making
Oh
you.
no, it's fine. It's fine. So that's the battery pack that they use.
Please try and bring it closer so they can
Ah
see.
yes, yes, yes. And this are the battery holders that are used. That 3D printed. That are used. We also have the buzzer used to steady sound. We have there's a light sensor, so the students learn about lights.
Personalities, witty conversation, eclectic music, and so much more. Only on one show. It's The Zone.
Your name is Coming is the classic of
Part of the exciting radio experience. Weekdays between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. It's The Zone on Star 103.5 FM. Simply the best. Mr. Classic Man. On The Zone.
Whenever you head popping fingers snapping and earth moving
Classic. The Zone is Ghana's favorite mid-morning show with K.O.D. Only on Star 103.5 FM. It's all about you. Simply the best.
And then the worksheet.
Ghana's economic development journey has been a difficult one over the last 60 years as the country searches for economic growth and prosperity. Star 103.5 FM.
So they use this to build digital logic gates, so they can
The
build
2018
simple
Business
digital
Roundtable
logic
topic,
gates.
Ghana in search of prosperity.
We also
What was in the paper?
The annual Business Roundtable will provide a discussion platform
so
Okay.
for business executives, policy makers, and key stakeholders to explore the current emerging issues and opportunities in Ghana's economy, how to drive national economic transformation and widespread prosperity. The Star stands for Yamson 2018 Business Roundtable discussion comes on
performing like
May 10th
experiments
at the Powell Beach Hotel, time 8:30 a.m. sharp. Grab a ticket at the reception of Star 103.5
They have a
FM
switch part.
for only 500 Ghana cedis.
their own
Call
switch.
0246 542 642 for inquiries.
Let's have breakfast with Francis Abad on the Morning Star. This is Star 103.5 FM. Simply the best.
20 minutes to 10. You're listening to Morning Star Live on Star 103.5 FM. My name is Francis Abad. We're having a conversation this morning for our Science, Tech, Engineering, and Mathematics program, The Horizon. We're speaking to Charles Antipem Ofori. He's the innovator and co-founder of Dext Technologies. They've put together a very interesting portable science lab for students called the Dext Science Set. We've already looked at what it does and what it can do for anyone who's seeking to learn science at the very basic level to garner the interest a lot more. Let me say a quick happy birthday to you, Dr. Eden Bart Williams, the CEO of Commerce Savings and Loans. It's your birthday today. From all the managing staff of Commerce Savings and Loans, happy birthday to you. May God richly, richly bless you today. Back to our conversation. Charles, help me out. We're done with the national recognition and the problems that you're having. I just hope that GES will change its mind shortly, find the funds for us to make good on improving science education in the country. But tell me more about your international exploits and recognitions. I hear you've been making waves this year.
Yes, lots of interesting things have been happening.
Okay.
So it actually started in Ghana. We received the Engineering Excellence Awards from the Ghana Institute of Engineers. They felt that this is a brilliant solution that could really impact science education a lot. So they gave us the Engineering Excellence Awards. And then after that, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers also gave us the Innovation Prize Award for Africa. And there's a school in the US, in Arizona, they also have underfunded schools there that began using the science set. And it was very interesting how all of that came together. we manufacturing these things here, shipping them to the US for students there to use, and receiving an award from the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, which saw the science as a very simple solution, but that could have really massive impact in terms of encouraging students to get into science and engineering. And then after that, the Royal Academy of Engineers, the British Royal Academy of Engineers, also invited us to the UK. We visited the Buckingham Palace and then the St. James Palace, and made a presentation to His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, and it was amazing. There were 16 other companies, all from all over Africa, that were invited, and then they selected the top 3 after the presentation, and we were number 2.
Wow!
In there. And it was really amazing. We had even schools in the UK. So the Westminster City Council has invited us again, that they're going to personally fund a one-day workshop for all of the schools in Westminster to come and see the science set, and then hopefully look at the possibilities of how the science set can be used in schools in the UK. We've had calls from Brazil, from Guatemala, from Germany. We've had the science set used in Germany. We've had calls from Kenya, from Nigeria. So yeah, it's been really exciting that because of the simplicity and because of how it's designed to integrate into any classroom environment. And my mom built her first electrical circuit using the science set.
Your mom?
Yes, my mom. So it's so easy to use, right? Anybody can use it. And looking at all of these things makes it very interesting for like people all across the world, right? Because now we could go anywhere, right? So it's really exciting.
Really exciting. Did you think you will get this big when you started off?
Absolutely not. So I mean, when we started, the idea is you want to make something that is solving a challenge in your country. Okay, you finish, and then because you designed a solution that was so easily integrated into any environment at all, someone in the US calls you and said, hey, we also have underfunded schools here, and the price is really good for us, so can you bring us 200 of them, right? And then someone calls you from Kenya and say, oh, I've been looking for something like this to use in my class because we have the same problems as you guys have. Can you send me a science set, right? It's really exciting seeing that something that you sit in your lab in Kumasi and then create is used by a student somewhere in the US or a student somewhere in the UK. It's absolutely exciting.
On an international scale. So you produce 1,000 a month.
Yes, we just got to that capacity last month.
Yes. That's great. And most of it goes out to the country.
Look, currently most of it are in the country. Okay. So like I said, mainly we are trying to get partners, organizations, companies, to be able to make the science available for schools who cannot afford, right? For the private schools, they make up just about 15% of the total number of schools, right? So we are actively selling to them, marketing to them directly. But a large chunk of the students that we want to help are in the government schools. And for most of them, if the government is not supporting it, you're going to have to get, organizations, like I said, MTN and other people
to provide.
Provide for.
Okay. So Charles, what would you prefer now? International or national success?
I think both, because what's happening is that I feel that, yes, if you take a market like Nigeria, they have much more private schools there, so it'll be an amazing place for us to go to. But I feel that it's great to be patriotic, at least for a while, right? And then it would be amazing if we achieve local success, and then the science that will be manufactured here at massive scale, shipped to the US, shipped to Nigeria, shipped to anywhere. I prefer that, right? Success internationally and success locally as well.
Okay, so clearly this is a very great product, but I've got to ask, do you have the patent for what you're doing?
So
have you copyrighted it?
So there are parts of it that we have some level of protection for. We can have protection for everything inside it because there are so many individual components, and most of them are things that are like general knowledge, right? But there's parts like like the manual and our instructions and how we students perform the activities. Those are things that we have protection over. But to a large extent, also we hope to be scale up as fast as possible, because we know that no matter what, there may be copycats around here and there. But
I was coming to that.
Exactly, but that is why we've been knocking on the doors of the government, because we will grow steadily as we continue to work with the private schools and organizations and things. But to get a big break, we need like a support of like an entity like the government that controls about like 80% of the student population in Ghana, right? So if we were to get that to be able to scale effectively, by the time the market, the other people catch up, we would be in a really good
Miles
so,
ahead.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. So as I said, it's a great product. In fact, I know I will have benefited from this if
Absolutely.
I got it during my school days. But if I want one for one of my kids, where can I get it?
So currently the science set is available on Junior, and you can buy it off
On Junior.
Yes.
That's online market.
Online market, yes. You can contact us directly also. You can also visit our website, dext.tech. And then
Mention that again, spelling.
Dext.tech. So DEXT.TECH. Dext.tech. So Dext Technology, Dext.tech.
.com.
No, just Dext.tech.
Dext.tech.
Yes,
That's it.
That's it. Right?
Okay.
Or you can visit thescienceset.com. Thescienceset.com.
Thescienceset.com.
Yes.
But do you have outlets where you sell your sets?
So currently not. So since we started, the truth is we've been like overwhelmed with demand, right? Particularly from the private schools and then from the organizations that are supporting. So most of the production we've been doing are like directly going to the schools directly. So we are yet to go into a place like Kingdom or some of these outlets that people can just buy from. So we hope that as we scale up, we'll be able to get into these outlets. But currently, you can call us directly or you can visit Junior and then buy us up a science.
Interesting. Assuming Dr. Frimpong Boateng or Poco Prempen, those are the ministers for environment, science, technology, and education. If any of these ministers are listening, what would you like to say to them?
Yeah, so for Dr. Frimpong Boateng, I would say that we've met him twice already, and he said that he would do what he can. That was last year. So for him, I would just say that we are waiting for what he said he would do. For the Minister of Education, I'd say that again we've been knocking on their doors. We've been advancing to try and get them to partner with us on some level. And my dad was a science teacher actually for about 20 years.
I see.
And during his time, what he had was a bottle that he used to measure rainfall. And today in my hometown, students are performing experiments and building their first digital logic gates using the science set. And we don't intend to stop until every single student in Ghana has a similar opportunity. And we are going to get there. We just feel we'll get there much faster with their help, and they should jump on board and help
out. Okay, so I've got to ask you though. You say you go back and finish what you're learning at University, but does this spur you on to do a lot more innovative stuff like what you've produced?
The idea to go back to school?
No. I mean the creative mind you have in solving problems. Does it end with a science set, or you're looking to do much more? You are cooking up different things as well.
Absolutely not. So even before the science set, we had a laser-based smoke detector that we developed, and that could help like markets, these fire outbreaks that we usually get in markets. We have a flood detection system that can help predict flood and help monitor the environment and then learn the patterns of flooding. And
all of these are available on commercial basis?
Not commercial basis. We have them in R&D. I think that we've been developing. We have something called Flip that helps you turn your light bulb into an automatic light bulb by just plugging something into it to help save electricity by turning the lights on and off automatically. So these are a lot of interesting stuff that we have planned. But then the science is currently what we are actively working on. And we hope that with the successes that we may chop from the science set, we would be able to effectively scale up and then bring all of these amazing things that I think will be very beneficial to lots of people.
I've got to say this. I'm first happy to see that a young man is following his passion, is letting his creative juices flow, and is using that in solving problems in societies across the country, Ghana. Congratulations for what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's the first point. Second, I think for what you're doing, you need a bigger support in making this bigger and better in solving all our problems. So if you are listening and you're close to, or if you are able to whisper into the ear of the education minister or the minister for science and technology, or even the president, I think now is a good time to convince whoever it is that this has to be scaled up to a national level for the benefit of all children in this country. Is there anything you want to say this morning?
Like I rightly said, we have been making efforts to put the sciences in the hands of every student in the country. Could you believe that a bunch of students in Brekusu, okay, after learning using the science setting and doing the practical activities, went on to create something that they called the Dumso Kanya. Okay, so it's like a four-sided box with light on each side that students can use to learn when the lights go off, right? GHS students, all females actually, inventing things after learning using a material like the science set. This is the sort of opportunities we want to be able to give to students across the country, right? So yes, we need support from the government and also, of course, organizations that are interested in supporting things like STEM. You know, we brand the science set with organizations logos and things like that, and we donate these science sets. There's a huge chunk of people who still can't afford it. Those who can are getting it and they are enjoying it, but there's still a large chunk of people who cannot, and we need all the support from the government, from organizations, corporate Ghana to enable us put the science set in the hands of every student so that in the not too distant future, when the problems keep coming, there will be an army of innovators and scientists that will be ready to solve the challenges of Ghana tomorrow.
I'm getting a lot of messages from those of our listeners who are watching, even through Facebook Live, and also for those who are listening as well. Someone, Kusiku says, Francis, I have had the opportunity to meet Charles myself. Trust me, from what I've seen, this young man is full of innovations, and the portable science lab is just a drop in an ocean of his work. He's told us about some of the other works that he's on to. But Francis, can you tell him to decline the citizenship deal America is offering him to move there? Advise him to stay here and make Ghana proud. Is that true? Are you being offered American citizenship?
Not necessarily, but whilst we were in the US, we had offers to come in and set up manufacturing in Tucson. So we had entities that were willing to offer us
wanted to drive you away
for us to come in and manufacture the product. So,
and are you considering that, or you keep everything?
For now, no. But you know, there's always a limit, right? But for now, we are sure that the support will come. We are sure that Ghana has reached that point where people understand things like this, and then they know the potential. The politicians, the individuals understand things like this. So we are sure the support will come.
The caveat you drop is that you are getting somewhat disappointed or frustrated about the lack of support.
Yes, it is beginning to get frustrating, but we are continuing to push.
Okay. Leonardo Afezi says, great innovation. Do you have anything for biology or chemistry in there?
We hope to get there. So currently we started with the physical science because it's very visual and very interesting to do. And as we move on, we have a microscope that costs 10 Ghana cedis that we have under development.
Microscope?
Yes, that you can use to
it's
cells and things.
It's under development.
Under development, yes, that we are working on. So we hope to, as we continue to chalk successes, bring all of these things out.
Okay. Ahena Champon says, brilliant submission, Charles. How is the government as well as private entities working with young innovators in the country to improve and enhance our education? I think he's mentioned that he's been pushing for quite some time now. He's got next to no responses yet, but he's hoping that will change, even though it's getting a little frustrating for him as we speak. Once again, Charles, that'll be it for this morning, but I want to say a big thank you to you for making the time to join us this morning. I'm proud to see that you're doing something great. I hope the frustration does not move you to send these beautiful exploits elsewhere, but I'm happy to know that your innovation is being recognized not only nationally but internationally. May this be the start of a very big and worthy journey for you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, every single student, just like they have a mathematical set, will have a science set in their bag, and I'm going to be very happy to see that
around the world.
Around the world. That is it.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you, Charles, for joining us this morning. Charles Antipem Ofori is the innovator and co-founder of Dext Technologies. Time check, 4 minutes to the top of the hour right here on Morning Star. After 10, this will happen.